Back in 1954, E.B. White was feeling that Christmas perfection pressure when he sat down at his typewriter to write his annual Christmas column for the New Yorker magazine. He wanted to say something new and fresh that would inspire his readers at Christmas time. But nothing he wrote seemed to do it. And while he was struggling to find the perfect words to say, he thought about a conversation that he had had with his 92-year-old Aunt Caroline, who lived with White and his wife. He described his Aunt Caroline as a woman from another century who always seemed to know what to say. The White family lived in New England, which is known for its beautiful fall color. And Aunt Caroline loved to go for drives in the country and take in all the changing colors. But this particular year, they hadn't had the opportunity to go. And when he realized this, E.B. White felt terrible about it. He went to his aunt and said, "I'm so sorry we didn't get out for a ride to see the leaves. I know that's your favorite thing." Aunt Caroline looked at him and she said, "Why, my dear, remembrance is sufficient of the beauty we have seen." It was such an unexpected answer that he said it felt like a bird had just flown into the room. She didn't need a new experience. She just needed to remember what she had already seen. That was enough for her. Remembrance is sufficient of the beauty we have seen. I've been thinking a lot about that as we head into this week and prepare for a Christmas unlike any other that we have experienced. How do you remember Christmas? Remembering is the opposite of dismembering. To dismember is to take something apart. It's to divide it up into pieces. But to remember is to bring all the pieces back together again into a whole picture. Another word for remember is recollect, and that gives us an even better visual. It's recollecting the parts of the story. That process of bringing the story together again is what we're called to do at Christmas time. It seems to be the way Mary celebrated the first Christmas. On Christmas Eve, we will read in Luke's gospel that Mary treasured all these things and pondered them in her heart. It's a great description of what it means to remember. Mary treasured all these things. She gathered up all the different pieces of the story and put them together, not just in her mind, but also in her heart. She pondered them in her heart. What an oxymoron that is. How do you ponder with your heart? Well, that's what remembering is. You take the details you have filed away in your brain and you filter them through your heart. Then your experience becomes more than just a dumping ground of facts. It takes on significance and meaning. That's what happens when you ponder with your heart. I remember Christmas in a way that's unique to me. I ponder with my heart all the many pieces to my Christmas story. Pieces like the last Christmas I had with my father. I was 6, and he gave me a Shirley Temple doll. I still have it. When my shiny blue Schwinn bicycle was standing by the tree on Christmas morning. Christmas Eve parties at my aunt and uncle's. Homemade shortbread from Grandma Johansson. As a teenager, playing my flute for the Episcopal Church and discovering that some people actually go to church on Christmas Eve. Rocking my 3-week-old baby to sleep, singing Silent Night to the light of a Christmas tree. Going to my mom's house after she died in November 39 years ago, and finding the Christmas gifts she had already wrapped for us. Looking out into a sea of candles on Christmas Eve and seeing my children's faces glowing back at me. That time I thought it would be a good idea to bring a live sheep into Christmas Eve worship. Waking up on Christmas morning for the first time completely alone after my divorce. My first Christmas with you at Ascension, experiencing music and worship like I have never experienced it before. It was hard to sing because my throat kept catching. It was so beautiful. These are among the many pieces of my Christmas story. But then there's another story that has become a part of my life. So much so that it overshadows all the other pieces of Christmas that I ponder in my heart. This is a story that's not unique to me. I share it with all of you. It's the story of how our God came to live as one of us, beginning his life the way we all do, as a tiny infant, vulnerable, hungry for the milk and love of his mama. And as his life unfolded, he showed us the very essence of God: grace, mercy, and truth. Into the darkness of this world, he shone with the light of God. Although none of us were actually there when it happened, we can still remember that story as we ponder it in our hearts and connect it with our own personal Christmas stories. We spend so much time, energy, and money at Christmas time trying to create a perfect moment, when all we really need to do is remember. This year, we will be creating new memories. We may worship on our computer screens and light candles in our homes. We might Zoom with our families on Christmas morning and watch one another open presents from a distance. I hope that we will all take the time to sit in silence and close our eyes and remember what we already know. There is such beauty and truth in the story of Christmas that it doesn't require a lot of embellishments or special effects. All we have to do is remember it well, because when we do, it speaks to that deepest part of us. When we do, it's as surprising as if a bird just flew into the room. Remembrance is sufficient of the beauty we have seen.